As the sun rose over the dense jungles of Sundarbans, Amara's thrilling adventure quickly spiraled into chaos. One misstep sent her tumbling into a raging river, where survival hung by a thread. Suddenly, a powerful presence emerged from the shadows, challenging everything she thought she knew. Subscribe to The Unusual and watch till the end to uncover the mystery. On a sweltering summer dawn, Amara traversed the heart of Sundarbans National Park in Bangladesh. The towering trees formed a dense green canopy, their visible roots and trunks spreading like strong limbs over the boggy terrain. She felt at ease in nature's embrace, a sentiment forged over years of adventures. Amidst the chirping of birds and the sighing wind, each step brought more challenge and thrill, igniting a sense of liberation within her. Deciding it was time to pause by a river to refill her water bottle, Amara approached a sturdy boulder. The brook twisted and turned amongst the rocks, roaring ferociously and creating small cascades along its path. "I just need to replenish quickly," she murmured to herself. As her foot met the boulder's surface, she suddenly skidded, as if the ground had vanished beneath her. Her reaction time was short. A moment later, her vision was filled with a blur of water and shadows. The stream pulled her mercilessly, twirling and tugging her away from the bank. Amara struggled to lift her head above water, gasping for air as she fought to stay afloat. But the current was overwhelmingly strong. Adrenaline surged through her, replacing her initial confidence with fear. "I need to escape. I must," she muttered, desperately reaching out for anything that might offer support. But the river drowned her pleas in a thunderous roar that filled her ears and disoriented her senses. The current swept her deeper into the park's mysterious interior, her heart pounding with dread. As the seconds ticked by, Amara's fight for survival intensified. The relentless force of the river heightened her regret. Why did I choose to venture out alone? Amidst the panic, she struggled to envision an escape from the deadly currents. Never had she felt so vulnerable. The solitude weighed heavily upon her. If only someone were here with me. Her voice cracked into an urgent plea that echoed amidst the trees on the riverbanks. "Help me! Can anyone help me?" She knew that being noticed was a long shot. Despite her distress, she continued to cry out, her voice nearly drowned out by the crashing water. The surrounding woods appeared detached, lost in their unyielding silence. Just as she neared her limits, something caught her eye. A large, dark shape bobbing in the water. A log moving slightly slower than she was. Gathering every ounce of her remaining strength, Amara propelled herself toward it, extending her arms until she could grasp the coarse timber. With a gulp of air, she relaxed her head on the log, feeling a glimmer of comfort. The water still tugged at her, but at least she had something to hold on to regain her breath. She inhaled deeply, trying to steady her racing heart. However, as she clung to the log, she sensed the water pulling her more fiercely, mercilessly. Her grip weakened, and the current threatened to yank her back under. Then she noticed something in the distance, a flicker of movement between the trees on the riverbank. Amara's pulse quickened. Amid the dense foliage, a pair of glistening eyes peered out. Her heart nearly stopped as she recognized the patterned silhouette of a tiger watching her quietly. The animal was large and muscular, its black and gold coat gleaming under the dappled sunlight. Its ears perked up, and its steady gaze made it clear that it was not only aware of her presence, but utterly fixated on her. Amara was flooded with mixed emotions: fear, intrigue, and an unexpected glimmer of hope. What if this creature posed a threat, the final barrier in her struggle for survival? Yet a part of her couldn't shake the thought that this majestic animal might be a guardian of the wilderness, a representation of the park's untamed spirit. "I need help," she whispered, uncertain whether to anticipate the tiger's approach or its retreat. The log began to sink slightly, threatening to release her. Realizing she was running out of time, anxiety flooded her. Her gaze locked with the tiger's, inscrutable, while Amara awaited her fate. Just when hope seemed almost lost, the tiger did the unimaginable. With a swift, powerful leap, it plunged into the river, swimming toward Amara. As it approached, her heart raced with a mix of fear and anticipation. Was this a rescue or a tragic end? She dared not move. The tiger, with both gentleness and strength, grasped her collar, sustaining her without causing harm. Amara held her breath, stunned, struggling to process the unfolding scene. She felt the tiger's powerful jaws on her jacket, pulling her against the current's force. The tiger swam with determination, battling the tide that opposed them. It maneuvered skillfully, adjusting its powerful claws to maintain a grip on her. The river's strength seemed to intensify, but the tiger remained resolute. Amara stayed still, suspended over the water, her mind racing to comprehend this extraordinary rescue. She observed the tiger's face, its muscles tense against the rushing water, and its eyes locked on the bank ahead. Finally, they reached the riverbank. With one last effort, the tiger hoisted both its body and Amara out of the water, landing them safely on the muddy shore. With a soft growl, the tiger released her, its gaze lingering on her for a moment, as if assessing her safety. In a swift leap, it vanished into the dense vegetation, leaving Amara alone, utterly astonished by the miraculous event. In a daze, Amara collapsed onto the bank, gasping for breath. Her mind whirled, trying to make sense of the past few minutes. The tiger. Had she truly been rescued by a tiger? Gathering her energy, she noticed hurried footsteps approaching. Looking up, she saw 3 forest officers rushing toward her, relief mixed with concern etched on their faces. "Miss!" one officer shouted, kneeling beside her. "My goodness, we didn't think we'd find anyone this deep in the woods. How did you end up here?" Still stunned and searching for words, Amara managed to reply, nearly breathless. "A tiger! It pulled me out of the river." The officers exchanged glances of surprise and disbelief. One of them began to inspect her arms, while another scanned the surroundings. "A tiger, you say?" one officer queried, struggling to mask skepticism. "You must have bumped your head in the current. Stress can often induce hallucinations in such circumstances." "No, it wasn't," Amara protested, her voice still weak. "It carried me and got me this far." One of the guards frowned at the others, showing skepticism, but eventually shook his head and signaled for the others to attend to Amara's apparent injuries with a first aid kit. "Let's get her to a safe location," proposed the older guard, extending his hand to help her up. "You need rest and recovery." Before leaving, Amara glanced back toward the lush growth from where she last spotted the tiger, searching for some form of justification or evidence. Yet the quiet expanse of the woods only deepened the mystery, leaving her with unanswered questions and a memory none seemed ready to trust. At the medical facility, Amara soon realized the reactions to her story were laced with skepticism and doubt. Over and over, she recounted the tale of the tiger that had leaped into the water to pull her to safety. The medical staff exchanged concerned glances, offering rational explanations about how pressure and fatigue might lead to illusions in stressful situations. "Amara, it's typical for the brain to create visuals as a way of protecting you from trauma," one health professional explained, his voice patient. "The combination of physical and emotional strain can be very powerful." She didn't argue. She merely nodded, aware that no matter what she said, no one would believe her account. To others, the tiger was simply a figment of her imagination. But she knew what she had experienced was real. The strength of the animal's jaws gripping her jacket, its intense gaze, and the precise manner in which it fought the river to bring her to shore. It was as tangible as the air she breathed at that moment. Several days later, as she exited the hospital, Amara paused at the entrance of Sundarbans National Park. Inhaling the forest air and listening to distant animal sounds, she allowed herself one last reflection on the incident. A mix of gratitude and awe surged through her, and a thought resonated within her. Perhaps the tiger was a pure, untamed embodiment of the nature she cherished, an unlikely protector. Opening her eyes, she surveyed the park one final time, imbued with profound admiration and a new awareness of the life surrounding her. The tiger incident would remain her secret, a private bond between her and the enigmatic forces of nature.